everyone. This is Drake Behrakis, Chair of the National Hellenic Society, bringing you another one of our NHS Excellence series. And with me today, from our wonderful Patrida, Vasilis Kostas, who many of you may know here in the Boston area. We'll get into that in a second. Vasilis, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Drake. Thank you.
Our pleasure. Vasilis, let's talk a little bit about your upbringing and background. You're obviously a major influence in the field of music here in the States, as well, of course, in your homeland of Greece, and really all over the world with some of the projects you've worked on. And so we want to hear that story and hear what you're working on and what it's all about. So let's start from the beginning.
I didn't have an official musical training up until I was 18 years old, because until then I was visiting old masters at the village of my mother. The village is Ioannina in Epirus again, and I was spending endless hours with them, specifically with a mentor of mine who has passed away, unfortunately. His name is Andreas Fakos, clarinet player, old friend of my grandfather. I was spending endless hours at the age of 15 years old to 18 next to him, learning the secrets of Epirus music and what the laments mean to our society. That laments are not only about notes and about technique and musicality, it's about expressing the deepest emotions of the society. At the age of 18 years old, I went to study at the Aristotle University in Thessaloniki. I studied philosophy and pedagogy, but at the same time, I was studying jazz guitar at the Conservatorio Philippos Nakas. I immediately understood that my path is music and that I wanted to follow this full time in my life. So I graduated from the Aristotle University and I gave an audition to Berkeley College of Music. The support of a scholarship from college and from the Philippos Nakas Conservatory in Athens, I was able to travel to Boston in 2013, September of 2013. And then this is when a journey started for me that I would never expected. I came to Berkeley College of Music in Boston to study jazz guitar. At the end of my first year of studies, the college sent me to Madrid to perform and record Greek traditional music. This is when I decided that I want to do that, but using not the guitar, but a Greek traditional instrument. And the instrument that is closer to the guitar and the instrument I knew from before was the laouto, the Greek traditional lute. So I picked the laouto, I went to Madrid, I performed there, and I was very lucky because in the concert, in the audience, two legends of flamenco music, Pepe Habichuela and Jose Merced, they were in the first row. So Jose Merced, the legendary singer of flamenco tradition, came at the end of the concert to me and said, "Laouto, the Greek lute, is your future. Just don't think about the guitar anymore." And the words of a master like Jose Merced were the green light for me. I came back to Boston to complete my bachelor's only by playing a Greek traditional instrument and being exposed in the jazz world, either by playing with jazz players at the school or by taking jazz classes, jazz lessons, jazz improvisation courses. This was a very, very big challenge for me with a Greek traditional instrument to see what the role of this instrument can be in the jazz world. And this was a direction that no one at the college, any professor could teach me. I had to dive inside me and find the way to do it. So I applied for the master's program at Berkeley, at the Berkeley Global Jazz Institute, created by our mentor and Grammy Award-winning artist Danilo Perez. I applied to this institute. They accepted me with the laouto, with the Greek traditional lute, and this is where I think this is where my career started officially, because I felt stronger and stronger every day, and to be part of other musical traditions other than the Greek one. And not only that, but I felt how much appreciated is our musical tradition in an institute that is focused on jazz. Whenever I played a Greek traditional piece that my grandfather loved, for example, which, and by the way, we talk about very, very demanding repertoire. I saw how the professors, the jazz masters at the Berkeley Global Jazz Institute reacted. And this gave me a lot of encouragement and confidence to continue exploring my musical roots and trying to find ways, creative ways, to play with the jazz masters. And at the end of when I graduated, a beautiful proposal, let's say, came to my career. Danilo Perez, the artistic director and founder of the Berkeley Global Jazz Institute, asked me to join his new group, which is called Global Messengers. And we recorded our first album, which is out next month, in March of this year. This is a very significant collaboration, and I'm always grateful to Danilo Perez, who serves also as the UNESCO Ambassador of Peace, who gave an opportunity like this to a Greek traditional musician to be creative in so many different platforms and concert settings around the world.
Let me ask you, how many artists are involved in the Global Messengers? I'm assuming it's obviously artists from all over the world.
We are 6 people in the group.
6, yeah.
Danilo Perez, of course, is the leader from Panama. Farai Malek from the US. Tarek Randisi and Nassim Alatras from Palestine. Leif Siddiq from Iraq, Jordan, and myself.
Wonderful! Congratulations. So we'll look forward to seeing that come out. I'm sure it's been a long journey with COVID and everything, getting music to release. And
exactly, we recorded the album in December of 2019.
Okay.
So it's 2 years later. We can't wait to hear it live, you know.
So I wanted to ask you two additional questions. You talked about obviously auditioning for Berkeley. How did that come to? Was that an online? Obviously, you being in Epirus, have you ever traveled to the States before or not? Before you going to Berkeley? Okay. So how did you? Obviously, Berkeley is world known. How did you get introduced to Berkeley? And tell us about how the audition process went for you.
So my both guitar teachers at the Philippos Nakas Conservatory in Thessaloniki, when I was studying philosophy and pedagogy at the Aristotle University, they were Berkeley alumni.
Okay.
So in every class, they told me you should audition for Berkeley and you should apply for a scholarship, and they really believed in me. And my family was very skeptical about this initiative. They didn't want me to leave Greece, of course, especially my mother, who told me, if you get a scholarship, I will think about letting you go to the US. So I said, keep this promise. And this is how it happened. I told my family that I'm traveling to Athens from Epirus to have the audition there, just for the experience. But inside me, I knew that I was ready for this because I was preparing for 3 years just for this audition. I knew that Berkeley in Boston, knowing the people that graduated from that college are my musical heroes, I knew that this was the place for me, even if it felt a little bit far from Greece. I was ready to go there.
And obviously, you've proven it because you received a full scholarship, correct?
So I received full scholarship and for the master's.
That's wonderful.
program.
That's wonderful. So all the hard work and dedication paid off, and it's great that you had. It's always interesting that for anyone that is going through life at an early age, having a strong network around you. Obviously, family is critical and very important, of course. But having, you made that commitment to music. You were in Thessaloniki, and people around you saw that you had a serious talent, and that you had opportunity and growth in front of you. And so they were kind enough to make further introductions and open doors. And that's how we'd love to see things happen in our lives, right? Having the right people not only influence and mentor us, but also provide us with opportunities that we may not necessarily have. So that's great that all that seemed to work out. So I'm going to put you on the spot. You have the laouto next to you. You mentioned about your grandfather and playing traditional Greek music. So play a little, give us a little snippet of what you introduced the Berkeley Jazz Institute to the world of Epirus.
Perfect. So I will improvise.
Yeah.
I will start with something from Epirus, and then we'll see where we'll go.
Sure. Go ahead. Wonderful. Bravo. Bravo.
Thank you. Thank
you. Tell us a little more about the instrument. I know Greeks know about the instrument, of course, but maybe a little bit of our audience, explain a little bit about the background of the laouto, and obviously you've been playing it, so you know it inside out. But tell us, just give us a little general background about the instrument, the family, the type of string, the number of strings, all that stuff, all the kind of technical.
Very simply, this is the Greek traditional lute. We call it laouto, right?
Yeah.
It's an instrument that we find in many regions in Greece, because as we know, every region in Greece has its own musical tradition. So we find this instrument in many regions, including all the islands, of course. And the main role of the instrument is to provide harmony, chords, rhythm behind the soloists, who most of the times are the clarinet players, violinists, and singers. However, I believe that there is a lot of potential on my instrument to be developed also into a solo instrument, where all the melodies that we hear from the clarinet players, especially clarinet and violin players in our tradition, can also be applied here with a lot of work, because it's a creative process to apply knowledge from other instruments into your instrument, but it's possible. So this is what we try to do, either with the Greek traditional music, to play the music of Epirus but as a soloist on the laouto, or improvise in the world of jazz and contemporary music, equally with the jazz saxophones, the jazz trumpets, equally to those instruments.
And are there different versions of it? I know, for instance, bouzouki, you have the trichodo, the tetrachodo, which is a number of strings, but is it pretty standard for the laouto as well?
This is the mainland laouto. Yep. There is a second type of laouto, which is the Cretan Lauto. They have it exclusively in the island of Crete, which is almost the same size, but the tuning is different. Okay. Every string is the fourth interval down. So that means that the Cretan Lauto has an even deeper and warmer sound than the mainland one, because it is tuned lower.
Okay.
Has this depth, this earthy sound. And we have a third type of laouto, which is called topolitico laouto, which is a lot more different than the mainland and the Cretan one, which has, as you see here, besides those frets, he has also smaller frets, so we can play microtones and smaller notes than E, F. Even, like, there are notes even inside my two frets. There are more notes here.
We just witnessed your magical fingers. So tell us what you're working on now. I know you have a number of initiatives. You mentioned the Global Messengers album that's coming out. That you spent a lot of work there. Certainly before and during COVID, you had some virtual and live concerts. So you're definitely a busy person, as well as a teacher. I'm not going to forget that. You have many students here in Boston, including myself. But that's exactly. That's a story for another day. That's a separate broadcast.
A good student, dedicated one. Yes.
So tell us, tell us a little bit about some of the projects you're working on and things of the future that you're looking to do.
Okay, I will tell you about some musical projects and some music educational projects. The most significant ones for me right now, and the projects that I want to do in the near future. So musically, of course, the group with Danilo Perez is a highlight for me, but also the group with Petrouloukas Chalkias and our album, The Soul of Epirus, which was released recently. Petrouloukas Chalkias, I'm sure most of the people that attend our interview will know him, but for those who don't, he's the master of the clarinet and Greek traditional music of all times at the age of 80 years old. Petrouloukas Chalkias is his name. While I was a student at Berkeley, I was practicing his instrumental philosophy from the clarinet to the laouto. And when he heard me play his own vocabulary, but on another instrument, he gave me a lot of advice, first of all, how to develop his playing more. And then he suggested to do an album together. So we keep playing and performing this album together. We were in France last month, in Geneva, and we're planning a lot of concerts together. Another significant group is the Anatoliama Ensemble, a group in Boston which focuses on the Asia Minor tradition. I feel very, very lucky and grateful that I found musicians like George Lernis and Panos Aivazidis and Burcu Güles, that we share the same vision of presenting this musical tradition and studying this tradition in depth all together. These are my most important projects, including playing also with symphony orchestras as a soloist in April in Nashville with the Chatterbird Symphony Orchestra, and next year in Greece with the Megaro Musikis Symphony Orchestra. But also equal to my performances and my musical projects, I consider all the music educational initiatives in my life. Right now, I serve as the artistic director of a couple of educational programs. The first one is the Epirus Ensemble at the Greek Institute in Boston, with musicians from around the world, Greek-American musicians, and Greeks from the university, students from the music universities in Greece, that all of us explore the music of Epirus in depth with weekly classes. The second program is the selective Epirus Ensemble under the auspices of the metropolis of Ioannina in Greece, a new project that we created in Ioannina. It accepts only 15 students every year, and the plan is for one of our members every year to get a scholarship to study at Berkeley. My journey to Berkeley wasn't the easiest one, because the moment I applied and I got the scholarship, I couldn't find more support from my sources in Epirus to be able to go there. It was a very difficult step for me. And I think our youth, not only in Epirus, but in Greece, has a lot of talent and willingness to practice our musical tradition in depth. And what we can do now with our power, with our strengths, each one of us, is to give opportunities to the youth to grow. So this program is based in Epirus and tries to give opportunities to Greek students to come to Boston and study. And the third project where I'm the artistic director is the Kalesma project. Is a project at the Kivotos του Κόσμου in Athens, Greece, which takes care of underprivileged children. And we try through systematic music educational classes to also provide opportunities for them and basically hope for the future. Two of those kids came to Boston in 2019 to study at the summer program at Berkeley, at the Vocal Summit program. And we aim to bring two more young students this June in Boston to study at Berkeley. The next project of mine, which I thought very, very carefully, and we discussed a little bit about it together, is called New England Greek Orchestra, a project that is heavily inspired by the New York Arabic Orchestra and how present is the musical tradition of the Arabic countries in the US. The last years in the US, I have witnessed a growing interest from Greeks, from Greek Americans, and from American music students and professional musicians to study our musical tradition and from all the parts of Greece in depth. So my goal is to create an orchestra which is based in Boston, an orchestra that can practice and study our musical tradition in depth and perform it in the highest possible level. An orchestra where our members can be in touch with the local masters here in Greece. The ideal plan would be to bring one master of Greek traditional music every year in Boston and have the 10 or 15 members of the orchestra to play with him and experience music live, sit next to him, hear his stories, explore the secrets of Greek traditional music, because this music has reached such depth with all the ornaments, the embellishments, the amazing repertoire we have. So my goal is to provide this opportunity if it's possible, and have this program start in September of this year in Boston, a selective program with weekly classes that will end up in a big performance every spring in Boston with a local master from Greece. And the goal is, because I feel, as I told you before, I feel so lucky that all these masters of Greek traditional music were close to me and gave me so much to move forward. I feel I am in a position that I can also, with my strengths now, to provide opportunities to the next generation through a cultural exchange, through a systematic way of learning Greek traditional music, which is based on weekly classes and a clear planning of having a concert with a master artist every year.
The one thing we've been fortunate enough, obviously for those of us that live here in the States, particularly in the eastern part of the country, to have, music conservatories, world-class, and we've seen the number of students of Greek descent, primarily of Greece, come here and study. So it's wonderful that in your own journey of your life, that you brought the laouto to Berkeley and then to the mainstream, and where premier jazz artists see how you can influence music and how you can bring a traditional instrument that maybe not too many people have seen or heard of outside of the Greek community, and bring it to the forefront of music today. And that's we all know the importance of the world of the arts. Certainly, traditionally, we know, of course, ancient Greece and the contributions of the world with the arts in general. But certainly along the lines of what you're doing in the music field, the many contributions of artists like yourselves, it's good to see that programs like this are happening, they're thriving, and there's opportunities for them to continue growing. So congratulations for taking a lead role in that. I think it's to do it as a student at a major university is one thing, but then to continue to give back and educate and have outreach programs and educational programs to students, I think is a great way to not only again to introduce an instrument to the world, but also to maintain, as you said at the very beginning, your traditional roots from Epirus and the traditional music that you learned growing up that was passed down to you from your grandfather. To introduce that to the world as well, and not to lose sight of the historical significance. So congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Drake. And if I can do it, that means that there are more people that can do it. And it's wonderful to see in Boston, American musicians, professional musicians, wanting to start from zero and learn our traditional music. I get emotional every time because I also have private students from the US, and specifically have two examples in my mind right now. One is Lysander Jaffe, a graduate of the master's program of New England Conservatory, who has reached an amazing level of playing the music of Epirus in such depth. I play his recordings to my grandparents in the village without telling them who plays the music. And they are excited. They think that this is a violin player from their region.
Sure.
But this person was born in Massachusetts. This person, along with 17 more students, will be in Epirus in the summer for a week of master classes and the performance in the center of Ioannina, my city. And another case I have in my mind is Irene Papadopoulos from Rosendale in Boston, 17 years old, Greek-American, whom with a lot of work on the violin, classically trained musician, she managed to apply some of the most demanding pieces of our tradition on the violin at a very young age. So these are the people that will keep going and keep presenting our roots in the future. And our role is, and of course, I don't say that I have reached a level, I still practice every day, I still explore, I still have many things to apply on my instrument. But my role is to also educate, if you wish, in a very systematic way the next generation of musicians, where I see a lot of talent and potential, because these are the people of the future. These people are going to present this music in our communities for decades now. And what a great example for the young generation in Greece, when they see musicians from abroad being so interested in learning our repertoire.
That's great. That's great. And we as Greeks here in the diaspora are, hopefully we can continue to help you in your journey, open those doors for you here in this country, of course, and help the community here rally behind you. And, again, it's another way of building bridges between the communities here and back in the Patrida, right? And I think that's one of the most important things, because you can teach culture all you want in a textbook, but until you experience it, and we know how much people can experience things through the arts, through music, through dance, through theater, everything. And certainly music is a very unique way that brings people together, brings the world together closer and closer, and to have the music of Greek origin doing that, I think projects well on your work. So congratulations again. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Drake. Thank you so much for the invitation, you and the National Hellenic Society.
Our pleasure. Thank you, Vasilis. Thank you.